Okay, so this class has been closed, but you can check out my website, www.carolbcrafts.com, to see what current class kit I'm offering with a qualifying purchase. Okay, tonight we're going to be using Real Red ink, only Real Red, and that's perfect for Christmas. Wishing you a Merry Christmas, and these bells, we stamp those bells and then die cut them. This sentiment, hoping that your busy year comes together in Christmas cheer, that is actually coming from the Perfectly Plaid stamps set, and you can see that's where I got it. It has some other nice, a very pretty Merry Christmas. And then this, what's cool about this is if you want to get the stamps, you might want to go ahead and get the the punch that punches out the trees too. And then another one for inside sentiments is For Unto Us. Lots of nice inside sentiments there for you to use. So those are rubber, so you might want to think about picking that up for the Christmas cards you're going to be making this year. All right, so this is a pretty simple card. Sometimes my cards are a little more detailed, sometimes they're a little more simple. So let's go ahead and get started. So get your kit out. So this is our 8.5 by 5.5 card, thick basic white card. It's already scored for you, so all you have to do is fold it in half and burnish it, crease the sides here. We don't have any ribbon, so we might just go ahead and do some putting together. We have ribbon for a bow, but we don't have any ribbon that goes around here. So it looks like we have two pieces of old olive. They're the same size, 4 1/4 by 5.5. One goes on the front, one goes on the inside. So if you want to grab those two pieces of old olive, that's one of my favorite colors too, old olive. We're going to put it on the front, 1/8 of an inch all around, and then we're going to go ahead and put the other one on the inside. You don't have to worry about mixing them up because they're the same size. I think if we put our card together as much as possible, it will have less things on the desk to lose. The next thing we're going to do is take a piece of basic white. It is 3 3/4 by 5. It's embossed with the Tasteful Textures embossing folder, and it's going to go on top of that lovely old olive. You can decide which side you like. I like this side for the front better. They look very similar, so you can decide. And I better put an extra piece of adhesive there since it is embossed. Okay, we're making progress. Now this is a piece of DSP from the Gingerbread and Peppermint, or Peppermint and Gingerbread DSP. I don't know which it is, but anyway, it is 3 3/4 by 2, and it's going to go, it's exactly the same size as the white cardstock underneath, and because it's exactly the same size and I have to get it just perfect, I don't have any wiggle room. I'm going to put some glue in each corner and then around the edges, and I'm going to use that to put it in place. That way I can move it around and get it there exactly on that white underneath. Now we're going to be die cutting this, so we'll put that aside. Now this is going to go on the inside. It is also 3 3/4 by 5, but we're going to be stamping on it. We're going to stamp our hope that your busy year comes together in Christmas cheer. Or if you want to do you're the icing on my gingerbread, or you want to do happy holidays, whatever you think you want to do. So we're going to stamp on this. We're going to make a bow with that later. We're going to stamp our 2 bells on this, and then we're going to die cut them. This is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And then inside your envelope, you'll find your, well, there's 2 little diamond-shaped clear jewels. Those are from the Silver and Epoxy Essentials. And these are tiny little clear diamond shaped. We'll put them in there for later. Don't want to lose those. I give you 2 of these. You only need 1, but we'll be stamping our Wish You a Merry Christmas on that. So we have our stamping orders. So let's just go ahead and bring in our Stamparatus. And then you're going to want a random stamp pad to go underneath to make that level. And you'll want your 4x6 window sheet. So let's do the label first. And like I said, I give you 2 just in case. And wishing you a Merry Christmas. I think it fits on there. I didn't tell you where that label is from. That label is from Tasteful Labeled Dies. And it's this label right here. And you can see this is one of my go-to when I need a label. All different sizes and shapes. So this is, if you're thinking about investing in some label dies, Tasteful Labeled Dies is a good investment. So, wishing you a Merry Christmas, and go ahead and put it in place. We'll be using our real red, a really real red. I have this I've been using. It has a little bit of Stampin' Seal on it. And I'm going to stick my label on there, ink up my stamp with my real red, because it has colored my stamps. It's so real red. Okay, and then this will fit on there perfectly. It's a little bit tight, but it doesn't look tight. It's just, and I'm using Christmas and using that along with the bottom edge to make sure, because with the wishing it's kind of hard to know where it is straight. So I'm using Christmas and the edge of this to line it up. And that looks good. And since those are photopolymer, I have learned to put a piece of tape here, because when I use the deluxe foam mat, it's a little bit thicker, and the plastic kind of keeps the magnets from doing their job as well, because these photopolymer stamps love to stick. That's why the ink sticks to them. But they also love to pull up your stuff. So since this is the front, I do want it to be nice and crisp and rich color. So I'll stamp it twice, and I'm done with that. I'll put it aside to dry a little. Clean off my stamp. And I'm using my Honest Whites. Honest I am. Okay, and make sure I get this whole thing off, because red likes to move around. Next, we're going to, let's do our inside next. So I'm going to clean off my plastic. wipe off that Merry Christmas, kind of dry it on my pants, and get the 3 3/4 by 5. Be careful not to get ink on it. The inside is going to come from that other stamp set. Hoping that your busy year comes together in Christmas cheer. I just thought that fit in there nicely, and I like that sentiment. We did a class on this 2 Christmases ago, I think, and it's still around because it's a real big seller. Lots of people like it. Okay, make sure it's not upside down, because sometimes I do that. But again, it's loving to stick to that plastic. Ink that up with my real red. My real red. And then I can stick this underneath here. Line it up. Ink it up some more. I hope you're enjoying these workshops with me. Sometimes I feel like maybe they're kind of boring. I don't know. Maybe if you enjoy them, I hope so. It's the closest that we get to crafting together. And if you do it later, that's fine. You can always stop and catch up. You know, pause the video and catch up. Okay, and then you can pretty this up if you wanted to. You could use these stamps of these little stamps here. I just left it blank because I wanted to try to keep it simple, not overdo, because if you have a lot of Christmas cards to do, you don't want to do them too fancy. You want them to have, you know, to be pretty, yes, but you don't want them to be like so difficult that they're not enjoyable and you're stressed, because the holidays can be stressful enough depending on what all you try to accomplish. Okay, now we're going to get our 5 1/4. Okay, we're going to get our 5 1/4 by 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 and get our bell stamp. These stamps, they do not match the like, this is my goof up from last night, or from Tuesday. This is the die cut image of the snowflake. It does not match the icing on here. Doesn't match the icing on here. Just, that was one of the things I noticed first off, is, oh, it's not the same, which may be a good thing. I don't know, it gives us more variety. Okay, so here's the bell stamp. It's pretty red. I'm going to put it in this corner, and again, I think I'm going to put some tape down, because I'm probably going to have to stamp that a couple of times, and I don't want it coming up. And I can see that it even still wants to come up. Okay, because this is a pretty solid stamp, and even though my ink pad is pretty juicy, I'm probably going to have to stamp it at least a couple of times, if not more. But it's so pretty when you get it done. And I've learned my lesson about ordering ink refills when I order an ink pad. It's just a smart thing to do. It's just smart. Okay, I think that is going to be pretty nice when it dries. So now I'm just going to take this. Now this is removable Scotch tape, which is nice because I know it won't rip my paper. I have it, I buy it in the rolls like this. It's cheaper that way. I got it at Office Depot. Okay, and then flip that around like this. Put that tape back in place, that removable tape. And yep, that's gonna stamp just right where I need it. So yeah, if you wanted to do this with the die cut, if you were going to do these, you could do die cut bells instead of stamped bells. If you wanted to make it maybe a little faster, if you did have a lot to make, that would still look pretty. But I like the stamped. I like the stamped bells. I think that's going to work. You just want them to be about the same shade. You don't want a light colored bell and a dark colored bell, because then it's going to look odd. Like one of the bells is anemic or something. But that's the only thing you have to watch out for. Just make sure they're about the same shade of yellow, of red. And try to get as much of that ink off as I can, because and also want to make sure I get it off my fingers. Okay, I think that's it for the stamping. Now we're going to do our, oh, I got the got the tape on there. I got to take that off. I'm going to do our die cutting, and I'll use that tape for my die cutting. Looks like I've got some more ink over here I need to get off. I can tell because there's a pink, kind of a pink faded look there on my Stamparatus. Okay, put that away. Put our inks away. Make sure our fingers are not inky. Now, dies. We need our dies because we're going to cut this and we're going to cut these. Now, so here's this. We're just going to lay that across there and die cut it. And then these we're going to cut with the outline of our bell. Get my tape back over here and line it up, and take your time, study it out, because if you do, you'll be more pleased with the results. Okay, so let me bring in my Stampin' Cut and Emboss. It is the big boy. So we'll start by cutting this. Whoops. So we have plate 1, plate 2, and then a plate 3. And then our paper or cardstock. And then another plate 3. Just run that through. And since it is a little bit of a detailed die, I'm going to, do it back and forth. For that reason, and also because it's easier on camera to do that. And I'm going to do my bell, my first bell. So pretty. Gorgeous. And then I'm going to do my second bell. I'm probably going to be off camera here for a minute because I want to make sure I do it right. Take my time, line it up so that it is just where I want it. Die cut that. Okay, now we have our bells. I'm probably going to need my brush tip for my, take your pick tool. So I could have put adhesive sheet backing on the back. That would make it a lot easier, but I think you guys can handle it. There's plenty of room there to put your glue. So no worries there. So let's bring in the rest of our card. Okay, so let's go ahead and put this on the inside. This is a pretty easy card. Like I said, if you needed to make several, this is kind of pretty and not difficult. This we probably should have, but we don't have to. You just want to make sure that it's even. This end matches that end. So I'm going to mark with this where I need to cut. Let me find my mark. Is that my mark? Yeah. You can use a pencil too if you're not quite sure. Okay, so you can see how this side kind of matches that side. And then you want it to look like you want the straight across at the top. And then make it look like it's been tacked to the white. And we're going to put some glue. And there's plenty of room here. Just touch it lightly. You don't even have to hardly squeeze. You don't want too much. There's plenty of room there. I might put a little bit more since it's on the end. You can see my glue. And across the top. Awesome, awesome. The bells, the left one I have on top of the right one. And then you want to make sure you have room for your bow. So here's my, how many inches? 12 inches of real red double stitched ribbon. I'm just going to take and make 2 loops, hopefully. And then I'm going to cross this one over here, makes like an X, just and laying it flat. And I'm going to take this and push it through here, right through that loop I just made, and pull. And then you can see, I just burped, I hope you don't mind. I had dinner. We had what did we have for dinner? We've been cooking from that new cookbook that I got, 2 cookbooks from Target, Magnolia Place or something like that. and my husband loves gumbo, so we made the seafood gumbo, and it was pretty intense, but it was definitely worth it. It was so good. It had shrimp and crab in it, and corn and all kinds of stuff. And so here's our bow. So that's going to go there. I might make this side a little bit bigger because that is a pretty good size bow. You can always make it bigger too if you need. Just hold it in the center so it doesn't twist. Now that's too big. There. So make sure you have plenty of room for your bow. So I'm going to get my glue dots out and put this one, leave that one in place, and put some glue dots on the back of this. Probably, I don't know, that many. And I'm just going to slide that back under. There we go. And then I'm going to do the same thing for this one. Glue dots. And it's going to go right there. Kind of looking like it's supposed to. I'm going to trim this like straight across. I really need better scissors for this too. There's my bow. I'm going to put that on with glue dots. Lots of red for Christmas this year. Red and green. I'm using 3. And I'm just going to set that right up there at the top. Fluff it up a little bit. So once I'm done with this, I'll post it on YouTube tomorrow so everybody can watch it, and you can stop and start it as needed. Wishing you a Merry Christmas. You'll want to twist that off. And glue dots, I think so. I didn't want to do too much dimension, even though that bow is going to add a lot of dimension. So that's one thing you have to be careful when you do mail these kinds of cards. You might have to pay extra postage if you have bulk. Now, there are in here 2 of the clear diamond-shaped silver and epoxy essentials is what they're called. And I found these guys, normally you can do this, but you really have to take your nail and get them off, because if they're just stuck to that plastic. It's going to go right here. And kind of, it's a little wonky. You don't want to lose these guys. And they are easy to lose. Okay, and then I wanted something more there, but I didn't want anything to take away from the sentiment. So that's why I came up with these clear. It kind of fills the void without taking over. All right, guys, well, that's it. So thanks for joining me, everyone, and thank you to everyone that took the class.